Bang. Welcome back, folks. And it's a bit of a solo shot today because Pete is working with some lawyers today and Mark is on a train. So you just get this guy, Jon Najarian. And I'm delighted that you're joining us for the Rebel's Edge. Let's get to it. Bang. That is a heck of a way to start America 250, isn't it, folks? I'm Jon Najarian, and as I said, unfortunately, I'm the only one you have to deal with today. And I'm delighted, though, to be here in Washington, D.C. I was here last night for America 250 and came down from New York right after the Knicks wrapped it up this weekend. Yeah, we'll touch on that at the sports section of the show, even without Pete. But let's dive right into what's going on in the markets because, boy, AI, memory, chips, and quantum computing stocks, that was what was happening today after the U.S. and Iran agreed to a peace deal to end the 100-day war. Global equity markets, yeah, they like that. And how do we know? Well, because the big inflationary pressure was really coming from crude oil and nat gas. And both those two things are in almost everything we touch, wear, or in the case of nat gas, certainly a lot of the fertilizers and so forth that go into what we eat. So this is a good thing that we are winding down this conflict. Now, could it flare back up again? Sure, it could if they don't follow through with what they've committed to as far as giving up the uranium that has been enhanced and so forth. Well, then I think there'd be a problem. But hopefully we won't have that. But I never want to dismiss it. It's always somewhere in the back of my mind somewhere that we could see a recurrence of them deciding to be, I'll just say it, stupid and trying to fight with one of the greatest military powers in the history of this world. But on the other hand, a lot of great people over in Iran, and certainly only the mullahs and the folks that have been basically at war with the United States for 47 years are the ones that we have an issue with, not the Persian people over there. So let's take a look and see what the VIX is telling us about the markets. VIX, of course, is how they measure the S&P 500 volatility. And as you can see, they're barely holding on to 16. Ever since it came down just a few days ago from the 22 level, which it pierced once again, it has been moving lower, lower, lower with just minor pullbacks. And the VIX today, certainly about as low as we've seen in a very long time. And that's a very good thing. We would rather see a little more certainty. And the VIX, some people call it a fear gauge. I'll call it also uncertainty. And when things are uncertain, they build up a little more premium into it. And as that premium comes out, the VIX shrinks back down. And I wouldn't be surprised to see the VIX with a 15 handle this week. And certainly then we'll be talking about a 14 handle after that, I believe. All right, let's take a look at prediction markets, folks, because the prediction markets are forecasting all kinds of things. Of course, I still like where you have something like, for instance, the sports betting market versus Kalshi versus Poly market. I'd rather see what FanDuel has to say or MGM or any of those others because significantly more money is bet there. However, for this one, there really isn't anywhere else other than just putting your money into some of these stocks like Unusual Machines. Now, Unusual Machines, we talked about this one because we've had unusual activity in it in the past. They are a spin out of what is now known as Red Cat, RCAT. And as you can see here, which companies will the U.S. likely take a stake in this year? They are at the top of the list. And why is that? Well, because you can't really buy parts for military hardware, which drones clearly are these days, unless it's made here in the United States. So that's what Unusual Machines does for our cat. And the fact that these are modular, and that if, for instance, a blade breaks or whatever, a soldier could basically take and snap a new blade on there and the drone goes right back to work. That's why this is such an interesting area for investment. But also look on there, two others, basically Anduril. I think most of you guys know that's Palmer Luckey, the gentleman that did the Oculus that Meta ended up buying and then kicked him out. And then he went and became a much bigger billionaire by building Anduril into a monster. And he has drone jets that can fly right alongside our military members and support them and or help with the attacks and things like that. Anduril would definitely be one that if Palmer would take the money, I would say we're likely to see something come from him in that space. All right. And I'm not trying to speed through things, folks, but without the back and forth of Pete or Mark Lopresti, it's just me really laying out what I think are the important factors in today's trade. And one of them is, of course, what I opened the show with, which is quantum. And quantum stocks, in fact, I'm here in Washington, D.C. today, wasn't just to come down and have some great Maryland blue crab and to go over to the White House and so forth. It was also, I'm an advisor, a paid advisor to quantum and several big quantum companies. And so I'm presenting here at the Ritz, Pentagon City, along with several of those folks. And it is a very interesting space, folks. Quantum is right now, because are we right there at quantum computing yet? No. But there are several folks who have already harnessed some of those qubits and are actually making some very significant progress. It'll be here sooner than you think, folks. And quantum security is one thing. QUCY and QNC are a couple of the companies that we really are working with right now, along with Naoris, which we were in New York with at the tail end of last week. So quantum is a big deal, and it's only going to be a bigger deal as we go on. And some of these stocks are going to be going from, the neighborhood of 30 million, 50 million valuations into the hundreds of millions, and then I believe billions of dollars. And the fact that quantum stocks like QUCY, which is one again that I am on the advisory board of, that one is an incredible company. That's the one I'm speaking for here in Washington, D.C. today. But we've also got, stocks like Rigetti and Ionic and so forth. And I think we're going to see an awful lot of upside out of these names. I am, in full disclosure, invested in all of those that I just spoke of, as well as QBTS and so forth. So keep an eye on those quantum stocks, folks. You will thank me for it going forward. All right, let's take a look now at some of the fallout, if you will, in a positive way for the energy sector. Because, of course, when the president announced that we had reached an accord with Iran, that was very good for energy prices coming down, because quite frankly, energy prices were too high, but they were too high for a good reason. They were too high because we had experienced a very significant reduction in supply. And you guys know what we always say, Pete and I, supply and demand. That's what sets prices. So if you take the same amount of demand and you cut the supply, prices are going up. If you increase the supply, which we've just started to do now, and if the Strait of Hormuz is indeed wide open in the next little bit, that will mean prices will come down dramatically. And they have. We're already looking at WTI basically trading $80.49 right now. So who is that good for? Well, think of who the largest consumers of energy are, other than data centers. And I'm not saying that crude oil runs a lot of data centers. It might run some, but natural gas clearly does, as well as some of the big travel companies like TripAdvisor, which was up big right away today. They also sold The Fork, which is a company, they had a reservation platform. They sold that to American Express for $700 million in cash. But look around at the rest of what's out there. The ETF for airlines known as JETS, JETS. Well, it was up 3% right away. We had American Airlines and United Airlines and Alaska Air Group and so forth, all moving to the upside. You'll also see truckers and cruise lines seeing that same sort of reaction. Why in the case of cruise lines? Well, fuel oil or diesel. Trucks, same reason. All of those are going to be coming down in price, and you're going to see a CPI and or PPI number going forward for June and July. Assuming that this holds, you're going to see those prices reflected in both consumer price and producer prices. All right, let's take a look at SpaceX. Why? Well, because it's SpaceX. And it was just on fire, moving to the upside very strong last week. Of course, SpaceX is a company that I am extremely bullish on, and I am an investor. Space exploration technology, or SpaceX, hit a new all-time high today. Friday, of course, they had priced on Thursday $135 a share. It came out Friday at $150. That was the opening print, or $149.34. It hit right after that, and then $176 and change. Today, we trade through $177. It's $177.75, in fact. Just a moonshot, if you will. And yeah, the pun is intended. Huge demand and float. Float here is very, very important because there was allegedly as much as $200 billion in demand for something that they only brought out $75 billion in shares for sale to the public. Now, the green shoe, the firms that basically support the stock, they would be the main firms like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Citigroup, Morgan Stanley, those kind of firms. They did their job apparently very well, and they exercised their green shoe, again, as it's known. And so SpaceX actually raised more than that $75 billion, $75 billion with a B, folks. And the valuation is still so high. It is amazing to see a company with $2.34 trillion market cap in just 2 days of trading. Now, 2 days doesn't make a whole history, but it's the history of this stock as a publicly traded stock right now. And that's why we're bringing that one to you. Lastly, I'd say Fox and Fox A. Why these two? Well, because Fox has announced that they entered into a definitive agreement to acquire Roku, R-O-K-U. Now, I remember Mr. Lebenthal on CNBC, always a big fan of Roku, as am I. Well, they're going to buy them for $160 a share. So that values Roku at about $22 billion. A lot of folks thought that was too high, paid too much, apparently, because the stock traded down. Fox A did, and Fox traded down. But it does bring together both Fox's premium live sports and news programs with Roku's streaming platform. So this instantly, folks, becomes the number 3, the third largest player in U.S. television by viewing share. That's a big deal. And for Fox to go from basically a company that was just somewhere on your cable dial somewhere, people didn't even know which channel, to now being the third largest top tier streaming platform is a big deal. So we thought we would emphasize that for you. They also have various exclusivity with the NFL, with Major League Baseball, and news networks and all the rest. So this is a big deal, and I thought you guys would enjoy hearing more about it. Now, with that said, let's take a look at a little video, because into Pete's Rebel Sports, we always like kicking in with a video, and today is not an exception. We don't just have the national anthem and so forth being sung. We have this about the Knicks' fabulous win. And I wasn't in San Antonio, folks, but I was in the Big Apple in Times Square when everybody was partying and celebrating this. But let's take a look and a listen.
For what we just witnessed, I am convinced the Knicks secretly cloned prime Michael Jordan, because there is no other explanation for what Jalen Brunson just did. Considering the Knicks came into this game with only a 37% chance to win on Kalshi, and then on top of that, if I told you that everyone on the Knicks roster not named Jalen Brunson would score only 49 points the entire game, you would tell me we're headed for a game 6, right? Fourth quarter, and the Knicks are down 8 with just over 7 minutes to go, with their first championship in 53 years on the line.
By 8 with 7 minutes to go. The formula is a point a minute.
And by the way, if you like elite sports content like this, make sure you're following. And Brunson both goes right around Castle and fakes out Wemby for the scoop layup. But that's only one play. And now it's the very next possession, and the Knicks are down 6. And in the most David and Goliath way possible, Brunson is being guarded by Wemby.
Wemby on Brunson. The 2 stars. Brunson off the bounce, gets inside, leans in, right hand, and he backs it up.
And Jalen absolutely cooks him also. And now with under 5 minutes to go, Brunson ties the game with this layup, bringing the Knicks all the way back from 16 down. But with just over a minute left and the game tied, only prime MJ could smell blood like this.
Brunson gets away from Castle. The floater's up and good.
And this man, Jalen Brunson, in a closeout game to win the title, drops 15 in the fourth quarter, scores almost half his team's total points for the game, and ties the great Michael Jordan for the most points ever scored in a finals clinching game on the road. We really just watched prime MJ in a Knicks uniform. After what we just witnessed,
it was amazing, folks. It was amazing. And I'm sure all of you who watched it, and I suspect that's going to be one of the highest rated NBA finals in an awfully long time. You've got one of the biggest markets on the planet, New York. And for them to do what they did, for Brunson to basically see the rest of the Knicks score 49 points and he put up 45, amazing, just amazing. And well-deserved all the MVP awards that he got for the finals, for the championship, for everything all along. I got to say, the kid is spectacular. And I'm so happy that he was a Chicago area kid, played at Stevenson, I think. But yeah, great ball player, went to Nova, lit it up there, and now an NBA championship for the Knicks. Very well deserved. All right. Now let's briefly hit a couple of the sports that Pete wanted us to hit before he got called into his court duty today. And that was this seems to be a guy, I remember when Pete was all over Ohtani, and he still loves him, and Judge, and he still loves him, and so do I. Both those two baseball players are two of the best to ever put on those uniforms. Well, this guy might be right up there. I mean, it's early in his career, so I'm not going to say he is up there yet. But Jacob Misiorowski, 6'7" pitcher, struck out 15 batters and threw a one-hitter. And he was throwing over 100 miles an hour virtually every pitch. I mean, And the fact, and we've brought this up as well, that since he's 6'7" with the wingspan of perhaps somebody even taller than that, he delivers that ball. When you finally see it come out of his hand, he's a lot closer to home plate than most other pitchers, folks. So the batter has that much less time, just that much less time, even faster than that, for them to adjust to that ball. And if he takes a little speed off it, you can only imagine how far out in front of the ball the batters are. That's how you strike out 15 people and throw a one-hitter. And that's just what he did this past weekend. So incredible player. If you do get a chance to see the Brewers play someplace, folks, make sure you go out and see them if this guy is pitching, because he is a phenom of the same sort of cloth that Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge are. I'm not saying, again, that he's there yet, but boy, of those three players, if they're playing near your town, you want to go see them, and this guy is something special. All right, lastly, we're going to wind up with the Knicks again. Brunson, of course, carried New York on his back. The kid is amazing. Jalen, I can't say enough nice things about him. And what a nice man, too. 45 points in 41 minutes. The Knicks were down. He would not let that trophy slip through their fingers. And boy, you just can't have enough accolades for a kid that is that good and that did that strong a performance on the world's biggest stage in basketball. So I'm sure we'll get a chance to talk about a little FIFA World Cup later in the week. I was already on TV today talking about it. It's a $17 billion jump for various economies across the U.S. in total. And why? Well, because it ain't just one game like the Super Bowl, and it ain't just 7 games like, for instance, a playoff series can be in hockey or in baseball. It is all across the country and doesn't wind up till practically the middle of July. So there's a lot of economic impact. When I was in Times Square Saturday evening with all the Knicks fans celebrating, well, the amazing thing was anybody who wasn't in there for the Knicks was there from Brazil or Morocco, because they had just played across the river over in New Jersey, and saw a heck of a lot of those folks also just looking around at the celebrations as they were going on. It was pretty spectacular. Well, that's going to do it for us, folks. I thank you for joining me. I look forward to being back here tomorrow with my brother Pete. And I would remind you that we're on at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and we'll cover all the best stories in the market tomorrow at 1.